Okay, so are we living in a simulation? Well, I don't know if that word simulation is the best word to describe this existence. I think Matrix or some kind of VR reality is a better way to kind of describe what's going on. Or, like in Hermeticism, the first principle, there's seven principles. The first principle is mentalism, which says everything is mind, everything is consciousness. So, the matter, all of the forces of the universe that we're perceiving to be matter and different forces are actually just an expression, a manifestation of pure, infinite consciousness, mind, whatever you want to call it. And so, with that, what we come to see is that what we are perceiving to be our outer world through this VR headset that we're wearing, through the finite mind, through the five senses, is not what reality actually is. But this matrix that we're living in, that we're experiencing in a body, mind, and human form, is something that we've created. So that's a question that I think people have when you start going down the whole rabbit hole of, are we living in the matrix? Are we living in some kind of simulation? It's like, the question is, well, who created the matrix? Who created the simulation? And the answer is us. The answer is you and me and everyone. We are creating what we are perceiving to be our external world. And this is happening through the principle of mentalism because everything is mind. There is no inner world and outer world. It's all one. It's all consciousness. And when you see this, when you get this, this is actually what awakening is. Because you realize that you have the power to create your reality, for better or for worse. And this is when everything starts to change in your life because you become more aware, you become self-aware, and that awareness expands. And you see that you are the witness that is sitting behind the mind and all your thoughts and all the different feelings and emotions. And I just said the word mind there, but by mind, I don't mean the universal mind. I don't mean infinite consciousness. I mean the finite mind, the localized mind that we experience through this VR headset, if you want to call it that, the body mind or whatever. That's what I mean when I made that comment. But so the witness is sitting behind the thinking mind, the analytical mind, the finite mind, and the witness is infinite and eternal, and it's just pure awareness. It's just the ever-present eternal now moment. It's synonymous with that, actually. Pure awareness, which is the foundation or the fundamental essence of your being, is synonymous with the eternal now, with the ever-present moment. It's one and the same. Because if you really sit back as the witness and just feel and sense what this witness, what this awareness is, what you'll see is that it's not, there is no past witness and there is no future witness. There's just the witness. It's just right here, right now. It's synonymous with the ever-present, eternal now moment. And so when you sit back as the witness and you see that you are the one that's experiencing life through a finite form for the purpose of learning, for the purpose of discovery and exploration, all of a sudden there's this sense of liberation that's produced from that. Because what's actually going on, what we're actually experiencing in this game, in this matrix, is the one, which is source, which is what we are fundamentally. The one has divided itself up into the many so that it can know itself infinitely, because there has to be some kind of dualism. There has to be some kind of appearance of other, of separation, in order for the one to know itself. But this is what, in Hinduism, they call it Maya, which is the illusion of separation. It's not actually happening. It's just like this dream kind of thing going on. The dream of Maya, the dream of God. And so our perceived identification of being a separate self, an ego, is part of this dream. And when you see this, when you get this, then again, you transcend the form, you transcend identification with an ego, with body, mind, and that's liberation. But then you bring that back into your incarnation, because as a soul, which a soul is a unique expression of the one, And the soul is what reincarnates lifetime after lifetime. But so as a soul, you start to live through your ego, through your incarnation. You include it, you transcend and include, as Ken Wilber says. And then all of a sudden, life becomes magical. Life becomes this dance where you realize everything you're experiencing in your life is directly connected to your journey, and it's actually everything is a reflection of you, because everything is you. Everything is a fractal of the one. And you can start to treat everything and everyone as your teacher. And this is the soul's journey. And this is what reincarnation is all about. We experience all these different lifetimes and incarnations for the sole purpose of learning, because learning is why this dream is happening in the first place. So the one can know itself in infinite forms and ways. And so as the soul learns each lifetime throughout each incarnation, there's this expansion, there's this growth, there's this transcendence that's happening. And everything that the soul undergoes is grist for the mill. And before you even step into an incarnation, the soul, the higher self, whatever you want to call it, it's choosing to experience these certain things for the purpose of growth, for the purpose of learning opposites. And that's actually, in this matrix, this is the realm of duality. So you've got all these different choices, and it's us versus them, it's light and darkness, it's good and evil, it's all these different polarities, right? Well, the reason this realm, this dream, is like this is because this is where we can actually learn, I think, the most. I think we can learn more here in this realm, in the third dimension, more than any other dimension that there is of the one, of consciousness. And the reason for this is because the way you learn something the most is by learning its opposite. Everything has an opposite. And so in learning the opposite, you are really seeing what it is and what it's not. And that's where, again, the most learning happens. That's where the most learning occurs. And so if you've chosen to experience some kind of incarnation that's full of conditional love, and you keep noticing these patterns and these cycles, the reason you're experiencing that is because you came here to learn unconditional love. But in experiencing the opposite, you know exactly what it is and what it's not. And then the moment you get this is the moment you can transcend the lesson and you can move on to something else. And so that's why pattern recognition is so important. And it's really, in my mind, it's like a telltale sign of awakening. And I've talked about this before in other videos. But when you start seeing that pattern, the patterns and the cycles and the paradigms that just repeat over time in history, then you can start to understand how this game works, how this matrix is designed, which you designed it. Remember, you are the one, you are Neo. However, you forgot, you fell asleep, and that's part of the game. You forget who you are so that you can remember who you are, and that's the dance. That's the full circle. But understanding the patterns, the rhythms, and how things rhyme, and the synchronicities, and mathematics, sacred geometry, understanding the codes of all these things that you're experiencing is what will enable you to transcend this game, this matrix. Because again, the way you transcend this game, this matrix, this simulation, this VR reality, whatever you want to call it, is by awareness, the expansion of awareness. And so it's not about escaping this earth. It's not about escaping the matrix, as many people have talked about and have preached about. Oh, you got to escape the matrix, and that's what it's all about. No, it's not about escaping this earth. You came here for a reason. You came here to learn because this is a school. And everything matters. Everything is very important. So it's not like, oh, this is just a game. This is just a matrix. It's just whatever. Everything's meaningless. No. Everything is meaningful because you designed it and you chose to experience these things for a very specific reason, because no one knows you, better than your higher self that has designed this game for yourself. And so, yeah, the expansion of consciousness, the expansion of awareness is how you transcend the code, the matrix, but you're not escaping it because you're in the world, but you're not of it. And this is where you can start to actually evolve the most, and you can start to experience these truths of your being that you didn't think were possible. This is where everything becomes possible. This is where infinite potential lies in this paradox, in this dance of being in the world but not of the world, where you're transcending and including. And all of a sudden, you realize that maybe the point of you incarnating, the point of you being here, is now to help those who are on the path to see the light. And you don't do that in a way that has to do with like proselytism. No, you do it in a way of love. You do it in a way of just being and listening, and your presence coming from this higher state of consciousness will automatically help those that you're around to evolve and to grow and to transcend, because your presence is the most powerful force in the universe. It's love. That is what you are fundamentally. And so through transcendence and transcendence of the ego, after you include the ego, just being who you really are, your authentic self, will end up attracting those that need to be in your life and your journey. And again, maybe the purpose of you reincarnating and experiencing another human form in this realm on this planet is to help those around you, is to help the world transcend and include, because that is what this game is all about. It's a game of transcendence, it's a game of evolution, but the way we transcend, the way we experience these higher dimensions, these higher levels of consciousness, is by learning. And we learn in this realm by the opposite, through the polarity. And it's hard, it's challenging, and it's difficult. But at the end of the day, this is what we have to go through. This is what we have to experience if we really want to transcend, if we really want to keep growing and expanding our awareness. And, many people talk about, who have had near-death experiences, they talk about life review. It's a very common thing that people experience when they have near-death experiences. And during these life reviews, what they typically say is that it's not like this. A lot of times people think of a life review and they equate it with like the judgment day and, God's judging you for everything you've ever done. That's not what it is at all. The life review is actually a time for you to see that everything that you did or didn't do in your life was somehow, some way, a learning experience. So it's not punishment. It's more of like, oh, I see, I had this opportunity, I had this choice, and I didn't realize that my thoughts were creating my reality. I didn't realize that, when I said this or did this to this person, it was coming out of this place of unconsciousness within me, and I was living from the ego. And so it's a learning experience. And just about everyone who goes through the life review, the main takeaway is, yeah, whatever we're experiencing here in this earth realm is a curriculum. The universe is a university. And there's so many things to be learned. But however, during this life review, typically the ultimate lesson, the revelation, is here in this dimension where there's all these different dualities and polarity and us versus them and separation and all. Like, one of the main takeaways is the key to transcendence, the key to expanding your awareness in this game, in this matrix, is moving past judgment. Moving past judgment is key, because if you continue to judge in this earth realm or in any realm, if you continue to judge what you're doing, you don't even realize it because it's coming from the ego, it's coming from this state of unconsciousness, is you're judging yourself. And so the only judge that there is you. And the only judgment you face is the judgment that you're judging yourself for. And what we don't realize when we're living from the illusion of separation, which, by the way, Albert Einstein actually said, the greatest tragedy of human existence is the illusion of separateness. So if you're living from the separation awareness, which is an illusion, and you're judging someone that you're perceiving to be the other, that judgment is actually a judgment of yourself. And the things that we don't like about ourselves, the things that we have been ignoring or rejecting about ourselves, we project and judge that in other people. That's all judgment is. It's actually just projection. And so that's a lesson in and of itself. When you can move past the judgment, when you can let go of that and forgive and move on from that mindset of separation consciousness, and you step into unconditional love and acceptance, that inherently is liberation. That is freedom. And that is a major leveling up in this game of life. And you know that, you see that very clearly the second you move into that heightened state of awareness, that higher vibrational frequency of unconditional love. You just know deep down in your bones that there is something very special about this frequency. Judgment is there's a lot of tension and resistance around it, and you feel it in your body. So listen to your body. That's another hint. That's another clue for this earth game. Listen to your body because it will never lie to you, okay? This is where we get that intuition from. It's in our cells. It's in our bodies. And so when you start to feel that tightness, that tension, that resistance, that stress, that's judgment. You're judging yourself, you're judging others, and you're facing that. But when you let go, when you release, you embrace, you accept those parts of you that you've been rejecting, that you don't like, and you do the inner work, you do the shadow work, you spend time in those through meditation or through, like I said, some kind of inner work. You spend some time just being and reflecting and going within. Then all of a sudden, through acceptance, through unconditional love, you experience the wholeness of your being. You integrate the light and the darkness. And through surrender, through acceptance, you walk away with this peace that surpasses all understanding. Because now all of a sudden, you're walking in the truth of your being, which is unconditional love, which is acceptance, and that is wholeness. And you realize in that moment that you've always been whole. You didn't think you were whole. You didn't think you were complete. And maybe someone told you that you weren't enough. And you took that mindset, you took that programming, and you projected it onto other people. But now you know. And the truth is what sets you free. Knowing the truth is what sets you free. So, oftentimes people that are full of hate, like, it's not that they hate all these other people, it's that they hate themselves. And again, that will manifest in the form of projection towards other people. That's also, with unforgiveness. People that have a hard time forgiving typically cannot forgive themselves for something, and they're dealing with a lot of guilt and shame. And that's pushed out. And what did I say in the very beginning of this video? The first principle of Hermeticism is mentalism. Everything is consciousness. Everything is mind. Everything is, and by the way, consciousness is fundamentally one. There is it's not different minds, or there's only one infinite, eternal consciousness. And from this one consciousness, everything is manifesting. Everything is rising, expressing from the one. And so that's why separation is an illusion. It's like all the different waves. Yes, there's unique manifestations or waves of the ocean, but fundamentally there's only one ocean. There's not like two separate waves. They're not actually separate. The waves are the ocean, but they're all interconnected. That's a great, I think, analogy for this 3D earth realm, for this virtual reality. And that is something that also with near-death experiences, when people have those experiences and they go to the other side, they go to the astral plane, and they can really understand what this game, what this life, what reincarnation is all about. That's one of the main takeaways. They see that, they know that everything is one. There is no separation. Separation is something that the egoic mind is creating. And it's not a bad thing, actually. It's part of this virtual reality. It's part of this game. Why? For the purpose of learning. You have to learn the opposite. You have to learn the duality to understand, to grow, to actually see. That's just part of this curriculum. But it's not ultimate reality, and that's the important thing. It's not the ultimate truth. And again, these people that have near-death experiences, they know that. They can see that clearly when they're on the other side because they're transcending the confines of this matrix and they're seeing it for what it is. But you don't have to have a near-death experience to know that and to see that. You can know that experientially right here, right now, while you're on this earth, while you're alive, while you're living through your incarnation, through meditation. Meditation will take you into the depths of your being, the witness that I talked about earlier. And it's not even taking you into the witness, it's actually just this uncovering, this unveiling of the witness that's always there, that's always present. It's not that you're even getting into these deeper states of meditation, because once you start meditating, the more you let go and the more you just allow the presence, the divine energy within you to do its thing, it actually pulls you into these deeper states of meditation. So it's not you like having to do all this work. No, you're just letting go. You're just being, you're resting, and you go from the beta brainwave state into alpha, into theta, into delta, sometimes into gamma, and you experience with much more clarity what is and why we're here. And this is where divine insight comes. This is where you experience this massive expansion of consciousness. This is when you tap into the energy of your higher self. Intuition arises. And this is where you have that deep inner knowing. And then you come out of that and you're back in the beta brainwave state. You're back in this, appearance of being a body, mind, a separate self. And you live that out from that amazing experience of transcendence that you just had. That is possible right here, right now. And in my opinion, meditation, as I always say, is the best method. But that's just, my thoughts. That's just my opinion. It may not work for you. It's not going to work for everyone. So you've got to try out different methods and modalities and see what works best for you, what enables you to transcend, to move past your thinking mind, to move past the egoic mind and into these deeper states of meditation, these deeper states of awareness, into your heart center, where you can know the truth for yourself experientially.